guys, welcome back to the third episode of the podcast for the Take My Hand Foundation. I know I've been away for a little while, and I'm sorry that I haven't made a regular podcast, but I recently just had a baby girl. My wife and I both switched jobs, and I've been working endlessly on building out this foundation from the ground up. Now, to let you know a little bit about what we're going to be doing today, we are going to talk about suicide. So, that will be a trigger for some of you. And just a forewarning, you might not want to listen to it. But for those of you that tough it out and are able to stick by with me, thank you. So before we get into talking about this, I just wanted to bring up some new things with the foundation that might interest some of you. We recently applied for nonprofit status, which is absolutely exciting because that'll give us more opportunities to help the people in the population that we want to help. It'll also open up some doors for us too. I built out this website. I've got a lot of apparel on there, so make sure you go check it out. thetakemyhandfoundation.com. We've also developed some new partnerships, which I'm very proud of. The first one is Healing America's Heroes. Now, we've joined forces with them, who is a nonprofit dedicated to offering recreational therapy to veterans and first responders using equine therapy and fly fishing. Their 5-day sessions include accommodations and meals, come at zero cost to the first responders. We are currently actively seeking to cover travel expenses to New Mexico for our first responders who would like to go to this awesome event. You can find them out at healingamericasheroes.org. Look at their schedule that they have on there. The second one is From the Hara Reiki. Now, we partnered with Cheryl, who is a master Reiki practitioner. Now, a little information about Reiki. The system of Reiki is set up to help each of us find and uncover our inner bright light. Our life experiences can cause dirt to stick to our bright light so that it doesn't shine as bright. Not because it's not there, but because there are layers of stuff covering our light. Emotional and physical trauma can cause our energy to become stuck, leading to anxiety, depression, and illness. Reiki has hands-on healing along with meditation practices, which can help us to move the energy, allowing us to brush the dirt off our inner lights. You can contact us, go to our website and request Reiki, and we'll hook you up with Cheryl. The last partnership that we have is the ability to refer clients to Brightside Health. Brightside is an online mental health provider and treatment service. They have been distinguished in this community, and they offer very well mental health services. In fact, I used them pretty recently, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. Now, this partnership enables us to defray initial setup costs for those first responders who cannot afford initial care or who have lapsed in their insurance coverage. So if you need mental health care and you are struggling to be able to afford the payment, contact us. We will do everything that we possibly can to find a way to get you into mental health care. So today, as I said earlier, I'm going to be talking a little about suicide and first responders. A study published in the Journal of Emergency Medical Services found that firefighters are more likely to die by suicide than in the line of duty. Specifically, the suicide rate for firefighters is approximately 18 per 100,000 individuals, compared to about 12 per 100,000 for the general population. In police officers, the Rudderman Family Foundation published a white paper indicating that in 2017, more police officers died by suicide than in the line of duty in the United States. The suicide rate for police officers is also higher than that of the population. EMTs and paramedics. The Suicide Prevention Resource Center noted that EMTs and paramedics also face an increased risk of suicide due to the high stress nature of their job and exposure to trauma. Now, specific statistics may be less readily available compared to firefighters and police officers, but it's super important to note that under all three of these professions, suicide among first responders may be underreported due to the stigma, cultural factors within the profession, and the lack of consistent tracking and reporting mechanisms. These statistics underscore the importance of addressing mental health issues and suicide prevention within the first responder community, as well as the need to provide adequate support and resources for those who may be struggling. You know, I'm just having trouble fathoming why these numbers and lack thereof are so underreported. Let's talk about the stigma regarding that. Now, everybody knows that there's stigma regarding mental health in general. Disorders, illness, whatever the hell you may want to call it. And for the longest time, people followed the culture of keeping it to themselves. Don't talk about it. Don't bring it up. Don't reach out. Handle it yourself. Be a man. That's bullshit. Excuse my language, but it is. You need to talk about it. You need to reach out to your buddy, your best friend, somebody that's been on the other side of this. Somebody that knows how you feel. Reach out to a peer support group. Reach out to us. Reach out to somebody. There is no shame in talking about it. In fact, that shows a higher level of strength. Do you hear me? A higher level of strength. You're stronger for talking about it. You're stronger for getting help. You're stronger for making yourself better so that you no longer feel this way. So that's the stigma. Let's also talk about cultural factors within the profession. You know, I'll be the first to admit that I wasn't a first responder for very long. Hell, I wasn't even in the military for very long before I was medically retired out. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not knowledgeable and I haven't educated myself on the factors of the professions, okay? I was there long enough to know that there is cultural factors within the profession that limit and hold people back from getting this mental health care. You know, when I was in the police academy, we had the psychologist come in and talk to us and give us a briefing on services and care. And she made it a point to say that nothing goes back to the department. People are scared that getting help is going to hem them up at work because of the nature of their jobs. So what do? They hold on to it. They let it eat them alive. They let it mess them up to the point where they have to turn around and quit. And then to the point where they possibly turn around and commit suicide. Isn't that something? So, the very profession that you're spending your heart and your soul, your blood, your tears, your mental health for, is the same very reason that you don't want to better yourself and you're scared to get help because they're going to turn around and turn their back on you. Now, don't get me wrong, not every department is like this. The departments that I were with were not like that. But you shouldn't be scared to get help. You know, one of my good friends who I lost contact with over the years, I found out he committed suicide a few months ago. That was extremely difficult for me because we lost contact and I didn't reach out. I didn't know what he was going through, and he didn't reach out to me. I don't know if he reached out to anybody. But he's another prime example of what happens when you don't reach out and you don't get help and you think that the end is ultimate. Ultimately, the only way for you to rid yourself of the demons. Now, listen, I'm not chastising anybody that has committed suicide. I know there are a lot of people that have certain feelings about that. But I can't chastise the way somebody feels, especially if that's the only feeling that they have, is that ridding themselves of this pain by dying is the only way out. You know what that shows me? Shows me there's not enough services. There's not enough help. There's not enough people giving a shit. Everybody could be on their high horse and have all these critical things to say about stuff. But what are you doing to help your fellow comrades? What are you doing to help the first responders that put themselves on the line to save your ass? What are you doing? Are you just putting a post on Facebook? Or are you actually going out and making contact with people? Are you actually starting a foundation that's aimed at helping people? Or are you just going to work, going through the motions, coming home, and not worrying, and remaining ignorant? What are you doing? Get involved. Get involved. Go help a foundation. Even if it's not mine, go help another foundation. Help somebody make a difference so that this stops happening. And sorry guys, I'm wearing my child right now. She's being a little fussy, so you guys are going to hear her a little bit. And there's nothing I could do about it. But I wanted to get this out there for you guys, because I've really been thinking about it. And this is something that you guys have to know. Acts of violence, natural disasters. This exposure to trauma can increase the risk of developing mental health disorders, including PTSD, which, if you don't know, is post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, which in turn can contribute to suicidal ideation. Now, despite the high prevalence of mental health issues among first responders, there are significant barriers to seeking help. These barriers are, as we just talked about, stigma surrounding mental illness within the profession and within the community, concerns about confidentiality, job security, and the culture that values toughness and resilience. There's also a lack of mental health resources. Many first responder agencies still face challenges in providing adequate mental health resources and support for their employees. Now, this could be due to limited funding or a lack of awareness about available resources, or just a shortage of mental health professionals trained to work with first responders in the first place, because not everybody's a right fit. These are all challenges that my foundation is working on fixing. How? The first steps is for us to get partners. Partners with people like Healing America's Heroes and Reiki. Things like getting mental health providers on board that could be there within 24 hours of a critical incident, so that you can start repairing your brain that has just been injured from such a traumatic incident. Education. Education, not only in individuals, but in departments. You know, I was recently had the opportunity to be an extra on a moonshining documentary that's going to be aired on the History Channel, and they interviewed me as my foundation because I decided to wear one of my support t-shirts to this event to try to get some kind of marketing going. And I really hope that they put it into the final cut so that it can get some awareness that it needs, because I can do all the Facebook groups and marketing and ads that I can, but until it really gets out to the mass population, it's going to be a rough road for us. You know, I see all these companies that are for profit that have t-shirts that people are just eating up because they like the brand. You know how many people have bought a t-shirt from me? I have 8 t-shirts that have sold so far. And all my funds go to first responders. They don't go to me. If I could have it my way, I intend on not taking a salary, period. I would much rather work my ass off on a day job and still work this full time than take a salary until there is no possible way that I could detract from me funding my first responders that need help. Okay? So go support our foundation. Go buy some t-shirts. Even if you can't afford to put a donation to our fundraiser in the form of cash, go buy a t-shirt. You're going to wear it. You're going to wear it. It's going to market for us. People are going to ask about it. Go help support that. Especially if you're somebody that doesn't have the time or the knowledge to go help our first responders yourself. Now, let's talk a little bit about what suicide does to families. It not only affects individuals themselves, but it has a profound impact on their families, colleagues in the community. The loss of a first responder to suicide creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond the individual. It devastates families. It devastates friends. It could devastate you. You might not think that you'll be a victim of this, but you will. When's the last time you checked in on everybody in your family? How about your first responders? This highlights the importance of early intervention and prevention efforts. It could happen to anybody. This isn't just for first responders, okay? This is something that can happen to anybody. I've watched families get absolutely torn apart because somebody in their family decided the only way out was to commit suicide. I've watched families tear themselves apart. Individuals tear themselves apart because they thought, myself included, that they could have done more to help. So that being said, reach out to your family members, reach out to your friends, reach out to first responders, check in on them. Be that smiling face that they see instead of one of these asshats that do nothing but cause them grief. Reach out to somebody. Now let me talk to the individuals. You are not alone. I've been there. I've been to the point where I had to distance myself from anything that could cause me harm. Because I was there. And that is somewhere that I never will and never want to be again. I want to help you. I want to find every resource and availability that I can to help you. But you also have to help yourself. You also have to reach out. If you're getting to that point, you need to reach out to somebody. If you can't afford care, reach out to somebody that can help you. If they can't help, then by God, find somebody else that can. You ultimately have to help yourself. Put some grace in your life. Reach out to somebody. Even when you think you are at your absolute lowest, I promise you that there is a world that you have yet to uncover. And it is absolutely true that life will continue to go on after you're gone. But you're going to leave a whole carnage behind you. Be strong enough to reach out and better yourself with help. Now, let's switch gears again. My next episode is going to be an interview. An interview with a chaplain that has a history in first responders and has been a first responder themselves. I am extremely excited to bring her on board and to talk to her about the challenges of mental health in our community. So, I know this was a rough episode, and hopefully it was an insightful one and an inspirational one. Promise the next couple of episodes will be more uplifting, but after finding out my buddy lost his life, and then seeing on Facebook another police officer losing theirs, I felt like it was something that I had to bring up. And I've had a lot of people over the last week, now that I've really ramped up operations, ask me about the foundation, asked me to come onto a podcast, asked me to create a pitch for a radio station. So I also needed to bring this out to the forefront to really show the need for the foundation. And hopefully I did that justice. Now, I could have given more statistics. I could have given more valuable information. But that's not necessarily the only way I want to run this podcast. I want to be real. I want to be out there, in your face. I want to be an actual person talking to you about actual issues that we're trying to address. You know, it's no surprise at this point that there's not enough services. And my president, Joshua, he's been going out to different businesses and organizations to gain their support, and he told me he went to a fire department and talked to some of the members there, and they said there's nothing like that around. Nothing like this foundation around. Sure, there's a plethora of foundations and organizations dedicated to providing you mental health support and doing all this other stuff for you that is beneficial. But I feel like we're unique in the aspect we're trying to take a more holistic approach. We're trying to help you and not detract from you in terms of funding. You know, we're just starting off. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of financial backing, which is a reason that we went nonprofit, so that we can do fundraising and attempt to get grants. And once we have all this ability, then we'll be able to start financially backing our responders. And that's going to be an absolute huge game changer for us. And that is ultimately what I want to do. You know, as I mentioned earlier, Healing America's Heroes, they have a whole ranch for recreational therapy in New Mexico. And they have therapy with horses, which is one of the most holistic and healing treatments around. You know, you're not sitting in a room talking about your feelings. You're doing so much more. But it doesn't cost you anything to be there. Nothing. They board you. They give you food. They supply all the horses and training and stuff. But you still have to get there. They offered me to come in July to take a look at the place and have the experience, which I'm gonna do, but I was looking at plane tickets and it's like $800 for a plane ticket. Now granted, I only had a month and a half to make the decision and get the tickets, but to some people that's still not feasible to do. So my mission is to be able to support somebody in a way that allows them to financially do so. that can get there and experience something different in life. And that's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do. So, if you can support us in any single way, please do so. If it means buying a shirt, if it means donating some money, if it means just going out and telling one other person about this, please do that. Go like us on Facebook, the Take My Hand Foundation. Go follow our website, share it, share the heck out of it. If you want some business cards or you want a QR code or anything like that, reach out to me. If you're in need of services, reach out to us. If you want to be a provider, reach out to us. If you just have a question, contact me. My number's on there. My email is on there. We have a little message bubble that is on the website. You can type in your question and it comes right directly to me, and I'll respond. Just reach out to us. If you're struggling, reach out to us. We're not mental health providers, but we could act as your peer support person. We could just listen to you. That's sometimes all somebody needs, is just to listen. It doesn't have to be a mental health professional. Now listen, if you're actively suicidal, you need to call 911. You need to call Helen Ross McNabb or somebody like the suicide hotline that can provide you immediate support. I'm not it. My foundation is not it. We cannot do that for you. However, if you're struggling, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you're having some issue that you just need to talk through, reach out to one of us. Reach out. Before we wrap up, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and that's peer support. Now, I came from a department that had a robust peer support system, and I noticed that it was something extremely advantageous to persons in the department. And that is something that I want to bring about within my foundation. So, if you've never dealt with peer support, it's a bunch of peers that you can talk to, you can call up. They're like mentors. They're people that'll listen to you and just talk to you, and they have the life experience of what you're going through or something similar to that. So, if you're interested in becoming a peer support person, again, please reach out to me. My email is support@takemyhandfoundation.com or Matthew@takemyhandfoundation.com. Reach out to me on the phone. It's on the website, thetakemyhandfoundation.com. Guys, I really appreciate you listening to me today. If you made it through the whole podcast, I really appreciate that. Make sure to check out the website, give us a call, like us on Facebook, follow our Facebook, and share it. Get our name out there. I appreciate it, guys. Everyone have a good one.